When I've gone to book in with a professional and I said, can you fit me in? They haven't been able to follow up with me for weeks, and I've had to then chase, which doesn't look professional at all, does it? But having a closing routine that you do, even if you were to do this once a week or twice a week, could revolutionise things. You're watching the Stable Business Podcast. I'm your host, Jenni Bush, and I'm here to chat all things equine business with a new episode every week from me or the best in the biz. Now, before we get started, hit the subscribe button and don't forget to click the bell to be notified when a new episode drops. Do you ever wish that somebody would just tell you how to do it all and you could just do it and business would be so much easier? Oh my goodness, isn't that the dream? Isn't that the dream? Because when we're trying to build a business that gives us that time freedom, that life freedom, actually sometimes it's all about being able to just know what to do. So today I'm going to talk about routines, habits, and what we can do in order to build those into our businesses so that we can have those stable businesses. Now, if you're a member of the Stable Foundation Club, you'll know that in there's something that I like to call the transition track. And then as part of the transition track, I talk about SOPs, which stands for Standard Operating Procedures. And basically, these are routines and habits that make us more efficient. But also, once we've got them out of our heads and they're on paper, it can revolutionise our businesses. So many entrepreneurs are running their businesses just out of their head, which is amazing, and I admire that capability. However, it's a dangerous place to be if it's all just in your head, because what happens is if something goes wrong in terms of your business or in terms of you're ill or something happens to you, could anybody just pick up and take off and take over from where you left off to keep your business running? Are there systems in place that will keep things going and working when you don't? And if you're trying to build that freedom in your business, that time freedom, that automation freedom, so that you're not having to do it all, it's so important to have the strategy and the plan and to have the standard operating procedures somewhere where people can access them. And this is one thing that I did when I was working my last job. I actually set that up so that they'd got those, so that all of the yard staff, all of the people that were coming in, coming out, those that were just coming in on a self-employed basis or whatever, could sing from the same hymn book easily. And it also meant that there was less confusion, there was less self-doubt. They were actually able to go, right, boom, 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 yeah, I know, I've done all of that. And it really, really helps. And so there are some tips that I've got for you in order to create those habits in your business and to create those routines. Now, I don't know if you've ever read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's quite a good book. It's quite a hefty book. To be fair, it wasn't my favourite book that I've read, but it's important. But he basically said, and I read here, that on average it takes more than 2 months before a new behaviour becomes automatic, and 66 days to be exact. And how long it takes to form that new habit can vary widely depending on the behaviour, the person, and the circumstances. There was another study, Lully study, it took anywhere from 18 to 254 days for people to form a new habit. Now, there are some things that I feel that we have to do in our businesses, and I refer to those as my daily non-negotiables. You can grab the daily non-negotiable planner, like my freebie that I've created, so you can see those at jennibush.com on the resources page. So head to my website and you can grab that. You can sign up and grab that. But I also find that in addition to my daily routines and my habits, and this is what I do that makes a massive difference for me. So it starts off by just writing down everything that you want to get done, everything that you need to get done most days, and then creating a routine and setting reminders. Now, I spoke about this, I can't think if it was on the podcast last week or whatever, but my calendar is boss. So from those routines, once I've created them and I've got those SOPs, not only do I put them into my transition track so that I can find them easily and I can access them rather than going, where are they? How have I saved them? They go into there as a resource, kind of like a directory. And then I also add them to my calendar, and I time block in. So I time block non-negotiables. I time block recording this podcast. I time block creating some social media stuff. I time block the things that I have to do for Stable Foundations, hub members, etc. And they go into the calendar and I work off that. And if you use most calendars, I use just a straightforward Google Calendar, but you can actually add a description, so you can add those links straight to your routines and your checklists. Makes a massive difference. And we do this naturally a lot of the time anyway. We've already got some habits, we've already got some things that we do. There are probably even things that you do in your work life that you've already mastered. So what you can then do is you can habit stack. So you can add those add your new habits onto your existing habits. So what do you find easy to do? What are you doing in your business? And I often talk about this, even in terms of how you'd muck out a stable. You've got a routine and a habit on how you do it your way. But once you've got it out of your head and you've written it down, you can actually go, is that the best order? Because sometimes when we're working off the top of our head, it doesn't put it in the right order and it doesn't make us as efficient. And we can probably cut out some of the things that we have been doing because we've never sat down to go, is that important? We can ditch it entirely off the list. So yeah, so habit stack, take some time to actually just sit down and go, right, what do I need to do? If I was to create a daily actions list, what do I need to do daily? Then you need to say, okay, what do I need to do weekly? So you might actually write down everything that's weekly, daily, weekly, monthly. And then I put those into, again, checklists. So I've got a daily checklist, a weekly checklist, and a monthly checklist. And my weekly stuff, I do actually split between the days. So I don't have to overload myself. It'd be like Monday, do these 2 things. Friday, do these 3 things. And that makes a lot more sense to me, because when I do my daily activities, it then prompts me to check my weekly ones. I just do those few extras on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and it just makes life so much easier. So to give you an example of some of my routines, so I'm gonna share these with you now. So I have a morning routine which starts around 6:30 to 7:30. I had a little bit of a tweak because what I've been wanting to do to the Stable Foundations Hub Plus members is I wanted to add in a live coaching session, and I wanted it to be a Monday momentum, to actually start to build that momentum, that accountability, get things going. So I decided this week that I would do it really early on a Monday. I'm not sure that I'll carry all of that on. I need to look at my calendar and see if I can fit it in at a better time for me, because to be fair, it was tough. So yeah, so this would be basically, I go to the loo, I put some workout clothes on, I go downstairs, it takes 5 minutes, I then drink, and this is the key actually, when you're doing these things, write down how long you think it takes, and when you're doing them, write down how long it actually took, because then you can time block much better. Because a lot of the time I say it'll only take me 2 minutes. That's a lie. It takes me 3 times that at least. So start to be aware of these, and when we start to be aware of how long things actually take us, we can then, rather than feel like we're left behind because we've actually not given ourselves enough time, we can give ourselves enough time for these things to happen. And I find this is key even in business. We often underestimate how long things take. We often underestimate how long it takes to write an email. We often underestimate how long it takes to go to the tack room, grab that tack that horse up. And then we feel like people are dawdling, or that people aren't doing their job quick enough. But actually, we didn't notice how long it genuinely took. So yeah, if you can start to be aware of how long these things take. If you then need to, at any point in your business, outsource, if you're then thinking, I need an assistant, I need a VA, I'm going to put my social media out there, you've actually got a strategy in terms of your SOP that you can hand over. Makes a massive difference. But also then you can set realistic time expectations on that person, because there's nothing worse than working with somebody or working for somebody and then thinking, oh, that shouldn't take you long. That should have only taken you 10 minutes. Why is it taking you half an hour? When you've done your best and you've done everything. And I've got a lot of thoughts on why things take so long and what actually makes things take longer. But that's an entire different podcast episode. Anyway, so yeah, so I will wait, toilet, workout, clothes, downstairs. Then I'll often drink water and I take my probiotics. Really important to me to try and get those in. I'm trying to be healthier. I'm trying to get my body into the best shape that it's been. I think you get to a certain age, don't you? And I am the wrong side of 40, and so that means that being a woman, my body changes, everything changes. So yeah, that's quite important to me to actually be aware. And I'll make tea, I'll feed the cats, I'll empty the dishwasher, I'll do those tasks, empty the washing machine, because yeah, so I've still got my daughters here, even though they are both now young ladies, I guess, and adults. Actually, my washing is worse than it's ever been. So yeah, so I do the washing, I hang that out, I meditate, I drink tea, and then I'll go and do my journaling, I check my calendars, and then I'll go in and do my workout. And so I'm very specific about how long everything takes. So again, even those silly things like your morning routines, I used to feel like I was rushing from one thing to another, and a lot of that was just because I wasn't giving myself enough time that I needed. And actually, sometimes when we slow down, we can get more done. So then, as part of my daily non-negotiables, which say you can get the free download of this so that you can copy it, so you don't have to worry about making notes. But I do, I focus on 4 main things. So I focus on making sure that I'm okay. And I talk about this a lot in my strategies, especially in the Stable Foundations Hub, about we're looking at making sure that we're okay. So we go through Gallup, which is getting in front of people, A to sell, looking after you, looking after clients, operations and procedures, and then your positioning for profit in terms of your products and your offers. So the first thing that's always important is you. So I say the first L is always look after you. So actually, we're going to bring that forward and we're going to do that first. So I then look at making sure that I do maybe a 5-minute journal. I check my daily tasks and priorities and I get them aligned. And I say to myself, if I was to only be able to do 1 to 3 things, what would it be today? And that would be success for me. And some days it's just one, because again, I was putting too much on my plate. I was looking at my massive to-do list and thinking, oh my goodness, I've still got loads of stuff to do. Whereas actually, when I just focused on one thing a day, if I could only get that one thing done today, I would feel like I've had success. And again, when we get ourselves in that routine of feeling success more, we create more success. So there was that. So there's the 5-minute journal, daily tasks and priorities, organisation, and then I might do some affirmations, which literally I just read through them, and I've got some that I've written specifically for what I'm doing and in terms of my goals, because we have to open ourselves up to actually being able to receive our goals. And this is something that's really, really important, is reducing that resistance to achieving our goals. Because let's face it, most goals we don't achieve. Like, how many of you have got goals that you set and you haven't achieved it? And a lot of the time we haven't removed the resistance. We haven't looked at why we're not achieving it. And we need to do some more work on that. So that's part of my affirmations, is almost to get myself into a space where I can receive it. I don't have any resistance to achieving that goal. And then I might just do some daily journaling, some daily pages. That's a really cool technique. Search it up on YouTube, daily pages, which basically just write and get it all out of your head and your brain dumping. Because once I've got it out of my head and onto paper, I feel much clearer, I feel much fresher, and it's amazing how much clarity that gives me. So the next thing I'll do is think, okay, how can I make sure that I grow my audience today? How can I get in front of people? So this could be going and commenting in Facebook groups. Not my favourite plan. I tend not to do that. It's one of those strategies that a lot of people teach, and it was quite a good one originally, but actually it's very time consuming and sometimes it gets a bit icky. So what could I do to get in front of people? So that might be searching for people who've got my audience or a similar audience, or somebody that's I could collaborate with that complements what I do. That could be going and doing some stuff on Pinterest, because remember, Pinterest is a big search engine, so it could be getting some stuff on there. It could be creating things like this podcast, because I get that out onto YouTube and onto the podcast, and I make sure that I've got SEO stuff. So yeah, think about, okay, if I could grow, what do I need to get in front of more people? And again, if you do one thing every day to grow, yeah, you'll have grown quite considerably by the end of the year. And that could be even just sharing my lead magnet somewhere. That works quite nicely for me. Yeah, and I've got all my resources, and say I've rebuilt the resources page on jennibush.com. So if you haven't been on my website lately, go and get there. You'll see there's lots of free tools in there. There's also the opportunity to book in a free mini Gallup assessment. And this assessment will take you through, and very strategic, we're going to actually audit your Gallup pillars and what you're missing, and then I can give you some actions to do that. as part of the assessment. So go and book that in if you haven't already. So then once I've done my growth stuff, I then think about how can I show up and nurture people. So that might be, do I need to send an email today? What can I put on my social media posts that's going to nurture people and going to just show up? It doesn't have to take very long. And this is the important thing. We overthink these things sometimes, and I get stuck in that, oh, I don't know what to send, I haven't got anything. Sometimes it's just showing up as you are can be a nurturing thing. I remember when I ran my last business, and one day I literally just went, I think I went live, was it the days before live, or I posted something about I was just going to put glittery eyeshadow on today because we all need a bit of sparkle, and how I was feeling, and that I just needed a bit of sparkle. And somebody said to me, I'm going to go and do that too now because you've just inspired me. And that's all that needs to be. So don't overthink it. So yeah, something that will just nurture everybody, and then make sure that I have done a sales action, a sales task daily. So that could be in the email, you put your PS stuff. That could be making sure you've got your call to action in. That could be just following up with somebody and saying, would you like some more help with that? Would you like to learn how I can help with that? That could be using a poll to actually say, what are you struggling with? And then following up and reaching out to people. That could be putting something that's specifically lead generating out there that then I can follow up people, or even sometimes just sharing some social proof. I class that as sales activity because, again, it helps people to know that I am going to deliver on what I do. So that's my main morning routine. My closing routine, I've often spoken about this in terms of like following up with people, and how in our businesses I've had issues with people not responding, not following up. When I've gone to book in with a professional and I said, can you fit me in? They haven't been able to follow up with me for weeks, and I've had to then chase, which doesn't look professional at all, does it? But having a closing routine that you do, even if you were to do this once a week or twice a week, could revolutionize things. So this is basically a checklist where I go, check my emails, reply to anybody. Then I look at the next one once I've done that, check my inbox. Is it clear? So tomorrow I don't come and go, oh my goodness, I've got loads of stuff. Then I check and reply to my DMs or messages. So then I will go to my Facebook Messenger. Have I got anything there? Then I'll look at my Facebook page. Then I'll look at my WhatsApp. I'll look at my Instagram, and I actually check these off. So it's like literally I just go and check. And some days this doesn't take very long because actually when you're doing it on a regular basis, you haven't got 101 messages to reply to. And then I might just, look, have I got any phone messages or calls? Have I updated my notes on my CRM system so that actually I'm aware of where anybody is? If I need to, is there anybody on my follow-up list that I need to respond to? I might also have in there, as part of my daily non-negotiables, actually on my daily routine, I actually do say go to my Facebook groups, and I go and I specifically check on the Facebook groups if there's anything that needs my attention. I look at tomorrow's schedule, write down anything that's coming up that you might need for tomorrow, set an intention, make any notes, tidy my desk, and then I shut the computer and I'm gone. And that makes a big difference. So I hope that these routines will help you. I want to also say that I don't have all my shit together all the time. Like, there are days when the routines don't happen. There are days when I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't do that. And I had that this week on a Friday. One of my routines on my weekly Fridays is that I schedule ahead the group posts for next week. So it's like me thinking, what am I doing in my groups? What do they need to know? So one of them is like what's on for the Stable Foundations Help Plus members. I say what's on this week, and I have that scheduled so it goes out on the Sunday so that everybody knows what's coming up. Whether they've got mentoring calls this week, co-working, etc., etc. And I hadn't done it. And I remember sitting there Sunday night and going, I don't know what happened. I didn't do it. And there's nothing worse. But when it happens, I've got it written down. Saves me that brain space. It saves me the procrastination, thinking, oh, this is going to take ages. Because actually I can just go, okay. So Sunday night, because I didn't have a lot of time, I didn't want to sit there and schedule the whole week. But I literally knew that I'd already planned out my week posts. Because I have templates on that. And if you'd like my help in making sure that you've got those sorts of things, do get in touch. So I have a template, whereas on like a Monday, I know roughly what I'm going to post, and I just copy, tweak, edit every week. So I could just copy paste it and it was done. And it took me less than 2 minutes. So we're not striving for perfection. perfection. We're just striving to get that 1% improvement day after day after day. And by the end of the year, you'll be 365% better, if not more, wouldn't you? And what would that do for your business? What would that do for your business? So I hope these tips helped you. I hope it's made you think about things that you can improve. I do share some of my SOPs and strategies and things in the Stable Foundations Hub. Go and have a look at that. There are 3 tiers to the Stable Foundations Hub, if you're not sure. So you can just grab the tools and the templates. If you think, no, I'm good, I know how to do this, you can grab the tools and the templates. Or if you think, actually, I want to get the help, but I haven't got a lot of money, cash flow isn't great, that's a great option to get you started. The next level up is where you don't just get all those tools and the templates, you actually get the support, you get mentoring, you get my eyes on your business, you get opportunities for review, there is extra bits of coaching, there's co-working sessions which help you to stay consistent, and you get your accountability, and that's Stable Foundations Hub Plus. And then the next level up is Stable Foundations Hub Pro, which is where you get one-to-one with me every single month. So have a look at those options. If you want to see if those work for you, why not book in a free fitting call so you can actually chat with me, and I'll let you know which one I think is the best suited to you. Book in your Gallup assessment by heading to jennibush.com and going to the resources. So that's it. Let me know if you've got any questions. I'm happy to answer them. Just pop them in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you really, really soon. Take care.